with Homer on the Homer Hour. I don't feel like I'm qualified to say anything. You do know, of course, that Brian Bulaga is a Super Bowl legend. Legend. Did you know that?
I did know that, yes.
Am I worthy to talk with him? Do we just let him tell his life story, like where he was born in a manger, or...
No, Homer, you've been talking to him this entire time.
No, but he's
cold feet now.
Not on this one show. This is the Thursday before the Super Bowl, and you check it in Wikipedia every year. I do. Did you check it to see if he's still the legend, the record holder?
I checked it, yeah.
Legend, do you ever check it? I know you don't.
I don't check it.
The oldest player to ever play in a Super Bowl, 43 years, 199 days. Do you know who it is, Brian Bulaga, Doctor of Football?
Is it Vinatieri?
Tom Brady, quarterback for the Buccaneers. The youngest player to start 21 years, 322 days, even though it's been how many years? Still the youngest player to start. Excellent point, because who cares if you're like a punter or the long snapper? The youngest player to start, Brian Bulaga, 2010. Yeah.
Hey.
It's 2024, and he's still the youngest player ever to start. Did anybody call you from any show or anything recognizing the legend?
No. It hasn't happened, and I'm actually shocked it hasn't been on one of those, like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or Jeopardy or something like that. I'm actually shocked.
Disappointed? If you were me, I'd be disappointed. You have too much class. You're shocked.
You know what's crazy about that is that if Pouncey, the center from the Steelers, would have been injured and started, it would have been his record. That's what's crazy about that.
Wow.
He was a rookie as well, and if he would have been healthy and played, it would have been his. He would have had it.
See, now I want to act like if I was Dan Patrick or somebody. So, Brian, can you tell us what it was like? I mean, that's only 9 years after you played in Little League Baseball. And I'm sure you played Little League Baseball, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
21.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it wasn't my first start, so thankfully I had some time under my belt before, playing in that game. But when Campy told me the night before, I told him after the game, after we won, obviously, you could have, held that little fun fact till after the game instead of telling me the night before that I'm going to be the youngest guy to ever start in a Super Bowl. That would have been nice, put a little more on my plate for me. But no, I mean, it was when I found out, I mean, it was cool. But, at the time I was so, just engulfed in the game plan and my thoughts going through my head about the game and what's going to happen the next day and everything like that. I didn't really think about it much until after the game. And then, you kind of sit there and think about it like, man, all the Super Bowls and all the guys that have played in these games, and I'm the youngest guy to start in one. Like, really awesome stat, real fun fact.
And not a fluke. My thought, if I was you, is that there's going to be some year where the starter gets hurt and have to bring some guy in and start, and they could be young. And we're talking at any position.
Yeah, hey, it could literally be on the opening kickoff. A guy gets brought up and he runs down on kickoff on the opener of the Super Bowl. And he technically started the Super Bowl on special teams, and he would get, the honor. So yeah, I mean, every year I think I'm like, someone's got to break this, right? Like at some point, but it just hasn't happened yet.
And now we get to the big question: who held the record before you became the youngest player? Do you even know who it was before you?
I think it was Jamal Lewis, wasn't it? The running back from the Ravens.
Don't ask me. I never looked at it. I never really cared that much. I'm assuming. You're 21 years, 322 days, which incredibly young. But so I don't know. I'll have to look that up. Has he ever called you? No, so no one, whoever it is, has never called you to complain that you took his brush with greatness.
No, I don't think that was one that he probably was too worried about. I don't think.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's clearly to me a player of some significance to where it's not the only thing they're holding on to.
Yeah.
And now this is the question, Dan Patrick wrestling. So Brian, did you ever think that day that you might never get back? You always hear these players say, you better take care of it because you can't ever guarantee that you're going to go back. And if I were Brian Bulaga, would say, no, it didn't enter my mind because we get this great quarterback. I assume I'm going back. I don't know how many times. I don't know what year, but I was damn well sure that I was coming back. Well, since I'm not Brian Bulaga, just playing him, I'll now be Dan Patrick. So, Brian, it's been 13 years. Did you ever think at any point, or when was the first time you thought, wow, this is awesome, but maybe I'll never get back?
To be honest, that never even crossed my mind, especially the way 2011 went when we went 15-1. I thought for sure we would be back in at least two more, especially with the teams that we had and some of the great players we had, and obviously Aaron Rodgers. I thought we would definitely be back. And that's the one thing that obviously not just myself, but a lot of the guys that I played with and Packer fans all over this world, that's the biggest thing, is that we never got back to another one with Aaron Rodgers. And they obviously had chances when I left as well in 2020 and 2021. They had the opportunity and couldn't get it done. So it's one of those things that I think about a lot, because especially this week, right, when the Super Bowl's on, even when I was playing and even now that I'm not playing, and the Super Bowl week comes around, it always starts crossing my mind, seeing Mahomes get into all these, and it just makes me think, like, man, I know I'm not a quarterback, and quarterbacks and getting into Super Bowls is such a big deal, but just for me personally, like, I should have been playing in at least one more of these. I should have played in at least one more, and it's and we had our opportunities. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we didn't get the chance to do it, to get there. We just couldn't get it done. And I would have never thought after that Super Bowl game against the Steelers that I would never get back to one. Just never thought it.
I have two thoughts. One, you're in the club, though. I mean, once you're in the club, you're in the club forever, and you certainly would have liked to have been in more, but you think of all the people you know that you run across. I mean, when you're in the club, I mean, two is better than one, but being in the club is, I would say, 95% of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I always try to fall back on, is like, one's better than none. You know what I mean? One is better than none.
Like a million times better than none.
Yeah, and I'm obviously so grateful for it, and it's always so cool to watch the game when NFL Network plays it. I always make sure that I either, record it or watch it when it's live on NFL Network, because it is fun to watch. And the memories from that week, the memories for the after parties and everything that happened after we got back to Green Bay, just awesome times. And, it was, football wise, the greatest, obviously, accomplishment I've ever had. And it was, such an awesome year and season, the way the season went. Obviously, like you said before, you knew we were going because of how our defense was ranked. You already said that. You knew we were going.
Yep.
You did say that.
Yep.
So you knew it, but I didn't know it. And at the time, going through the season. And
look, I understand. Breaks went your way. People forget about that. Different things happen. I remember the Philadelphia game. I don't remember the specifics of the end, but could have easily lost that game. And it was, to me, a break to play Chicago, because I don't think anybody thought Chicago was that good, but I can't speak for the team.
I mean, that would have been the thing. We'd have either Chicago or we had to go out to Seattle and try to beat Seattle. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things, like, we already beat the 1 seed in Atlanta, so it would have been either Chicago or Seattle, and we didn't play Seattle that year, so we didn't really have an understanding of how good or not good they were. But We all saw the run that Marshawn Lynch had in the playoffs against the Saints, right? Everyone saw that. So so you knew the momentum was really riding high in that stadium. And that was kind of when the 12th man was starting to get going, right? When that stadium was really becoming an advantage for the Seahawks. So that would have been a tough challenge to go out there and try to win. There's absolutely no doubt. We did play them in the preseason in Seattle. So we got a little taste of that stadium and that team that preseason, but it's preseason. You don't really know much about that. I remember I played almost 3/4 of that game. It was, rookie in the preseason playing a lot of snaps, but it was obviously a really cool time. Now, to play Chicago, to beat Chicago, to get in was probably, the right thing for it to be at the end of the day, right? Bears, Packers to get into the Super Bowl. I mean, it would have been just like this year. It would have been really cool for Lions, Packers to get into the Super Bowl. That would have been really a cool storyline as well. But I look at it as a magical run because we had to win so many games at the end to even get in, and then we got in, and obviously against all the odds as the 6th seed, get it done.
All right, now we get to the tough part. I was there. I remember Ron Wolf saying, fart in the wind. And I think it's one thing to win a Super Bowl. You win back-to-back. Your team is a legend. Automatic. There just aren't many that do it. Did you or do you ever think in 2011 that you were better than you were in 2010 through the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were better through the regular season for sure. I thought we had a better team, a more experienced team. Obviously, the way we were playing, offensively especially, I didn't think that there was a team that could, and once we got into the playoffs, that could stop us. And, you get into that game against the Giants, and I remember first series, I remember it clear as day because it kind of didn't make me think we're not going to win this game, but it made me think, okay, this isn't going to be the way it's been all season. I mean, it was a third down play. I think we were just around the 50-yard line and drop back. Pocket was clean. We, as an O-line, we were really good that year as well. And Aaron threw a ball to Greg Jennings and just overthrew him. And all year, Aaron never did that. There was never an overthrow. It felt like every time Aaron let go of the ball that season, it was going to be a big play. And Greg was pretty wide open for NFL standards, and it was just out of Greg's reach. And I remember at that time I was like, man, yeah, this is going to be different than it was during the regular season. And that's how it ended up being. I mean, a lot of weird stuff happened that game, the Hail Mary at the end of the half. And it was just we didn't play good enough. And obviously the Giants went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So they were a Super Bowl caliber team. And we beat the Giants earlier in the season in New York. So we felt really good about that.
Wasn't it late in the year, though? Do I have that right? I don't know if I'm thinking that.
I think it was in the second half of the year, yeah.
Right.
Because it was cold in New York. So it was the second half of the year. So we felt good about having the Giants come. And, it was just one of those games that we got outperformed. We didn't play well enough, and we lost. And that's when I, especially even as a second-year player, the reality set in that getting back to where we just were is not going to be easy. And it's because you do it as a rookie, then you go 15-1 in your second year, and you're like, man, like we're going to keep doing this. Like we got this team. Obviously, we have the best quarterback in the league. I think so. Obviously, Tom Brady was playing and all that, so I understand other people having objections and Peyton Manning. But, we got Aaron Rodgers. We got this receiving group. We got these studs on defense. We got Clay Matthews. We're going to keep doing this. And you lose that playoff game, and you're like, this is not the way, it's going to be for the rest of my time. We're not going to be able to just go on these playoff runs and just dominate teams every season. It's going to be a grind. Now we have a target on our back, and that's what it ended up being. And obviously we had other opportunities, when we made the playoffs every season until 2017. And it was just, we just weren't able to get over the hump, and it was disappointing.
And now I say, imagine how that would feel if you had never won a Super Bowl. And to me, it's got to change it by, $1 million. I don't even know what the word is, right?
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely. I mean, I can't even imagine it. Like, to be honest, it's not even. I can't even think about it, because if we didn't win that, in 2010, and then to have all the opportunities that we had and we never got back to one, I mean, it changes the dynamic of the way you talk about, the Green Bay Packers, I feel like. You know what I mean? It changes. I mean, I don't think it changes the narrative around how great Aaron Rodgers is. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is still great, right? Like,
no, he becomes Dan Marino.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way you look at it. And obviously, for me personally, as having Aaron as a friend, I'm so happy he got it, because people can't kind of hold that over him.
He's your friend? He's not even a very good teammate. How is he your friend?
Get out of here with that, and not even a very good teammate.
Well, I mean, that's why I follow these.
We've had these conversations before already. Like, we don't need to readdress it. Like, we've had the talk already.
Is that the worst thing? What's the? And we're going to go to Jason Woody, but it makes me ask, what's the worst thing or the hardest thing that you read or have heard in which you go, it just never amazes me how wrong you can be. Just by your tone, I think that might be at the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that gets said about him, and
not about him, but about anybody.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the part about, and obviously we're about to talk to Jason, and I have the utmost respect for Jason, how he does journalism. I think he's obviously one of the best I've ever dealt with. But there's sometimes these narrative about guys, and you don't really even know them. You get this narrative based on what you see on TV or how he acts.
But when it's somebody that you think is not only a friend but a great friend, and then these things come out, and I guess at some point you just give up and you say, "Fine, it's just crap. I'm not." You can't spend your life in that debate, right? Or I don't think you are.
I don't, and Aaron's the one I get asked about most from all the guys that I hang out with, play golf with. How's Aaron Rodgers? He comes off as this. And I'm like, well, they're wrong. I know the guy personally. I spent a lot of time with him. It was pretty much my job to make sure he didn't get killed. So I took a lot of pride in that. And with that, you build a friendship, not just on the field, but off the field. You get a bond that.
But you don't have to have that bond, and that bond can vary from quarterback to quarterback, right?
Yeah, of course it can. He could have kept his distance from us and not wanted to be friends with us, and not wanted to, and keep it merely in the locker room and merely professional in that standpoint, which, hey, if that's the way he chose to do it, that's the way he chose to do it, and there's nothing I can do about it. But he was different. He wanted to be friends outside of the building. He wanted to build a relationship outside the building with guys, and to me, I mean, that says all I need to say about him. And, the way he treated not only myself, but my wife, my kids, I can't say enough about it. So that debate, to me, I mean, no one can change my mind. I don't care what comes out. I don't care what the Athletic says. I don't care what anyone says. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, it's funny. I did an event once with James Jones. Now I'm forgetting his first name. I think it's his first name.
Yeah, it's James. Yeah,
so
JJ.
Somebody asked him, and he said, I'm only going to tell you one thing. I've come home at times, and Aaron Rodgers is playing video games with my kid. He goes,
yep.
You think of all, he goes like, there's nothing else. We don't need to talk about anything. That's the Aaron Rodgers I know. You can say whatever the hell you want, and I'm not talking about all the things. All I'm telling is, think of somebody that you knew, and you come home and they're playing video games with your kid, that person wouldn't hold a special spot. I don't care if he's your plumber or the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Just in the same tone that you did. So,
correct.
All right.
Absolutely.
Jason Wilde, next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Oh, we got some trouble now. Westbound 94, just past Blue Mound Road. We've got the two left lanes blocked with a crash. So backups are stretching all the way from Calhoun to that point. We've got the eastbound side slowing down too from 164 to that accident scene. Back on the brakes on 94 eastbound from the Zoo interchange through the stadium to about 27th. And then on the westbound side, backing up from 25th through to Hawley Road. Traffic is brought to you by the Delafield Brewhouse, now on tap. Hopped Up and Hazy, a New England-style IPA with bright grapefruit and citrus aromas. Drink ale, live lager, the Delafield Brewhouse. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, showers and storms early and partly cloudy and windy with a low of 46. Tomorrow, windy with clouds to the north, sun to the south, a high of 54. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Badger football fans, Brad Nortman here, inviting you to the Big Red Rally, an evening full of fun, football, and food, hosted at the Italian Community Center in downtown Milwaukee on February 8th. Meet the Badgers' newest recruits and hear directly from head coach Luke Fickell. Tickets to the Big Red Rally can be purchased individually or in tables of 10, with special discounts for UW-Madison grads. Jump around downtown Milwaukee to the Big Red Rally on February 8th and be part of the tradition. Visit uwalumni.com/events for more information. I will see you there.
Hey, it's Gary Olson here for Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center. Looking for that midday escape? Or maybe you want to impress a client? No matter the season, rain, snow, or shine, Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is open for you. A top-tech, cutting-edge golf experience that gives you the chance to play legendary courses. Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center simulators, entertainment, and best Bloody Marys make it feel like summer all year round. Just $35 an hour gets you a round and puts that summer feel back in your life. Book your bay at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
Jason Rose is the president CEO of AccuRite Tax and Financial Services. They have document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
I think it's very accurate to call it a partnership because it's more of a relationship that you build up over time.
And your practice has had document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems for years.
Yep, they know what you need, they know how to help, they're able to provide suggestions on future improvements or changes.
James Imaging Systems, a 100% Wisconsin-owned and managed business technology company. Here for you today, helping you plan for the future.
It's a great deal. James Imaging is the real deal.
And Jason, the bottom line for your practice?
Keep us up and running, especially during tax season.
Keep your business up and running with document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Is your savings discount liquor.
KC and San Fran are ready to kick off. The question is, are you ready? HD TVs in every room. Check. The grill ready to fire up. Check. Chips, dips, check. Now the real planning begins. A trip to Discount Liquor to stock up for the biggest football game of the year. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. Is beer on the menu? We'll set you up with your favorite or recommend something new. We have over 2,000 to choose from. What about liquor? Our variety is unmatched, as is our selection of wine. So if you want it, we've got it. Discount Liquor is your personal party headquarters. Discount Liquor has everything you need, all at the lowest prices in town. Come see us today at 51st in Oklahoma and Milwaukee, and on Barstow and Main in downtown Waukesha. Open daily 9 to 9 and Sundays 10 to 2. Online at DiscountLiquorInc.com.
Discount Liquor.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. Jason Wilde is brought to you by Boucher Automotive, where we ride with you every mile. 18 dealerships, 15 brands, and thousands of vehicles in stock. Check them out at Boucher.com.
Everybody on the planet Earth should get information about the Green Bay Packers from Jason Wilde. And this is my favorite segment because I get to sit back and listen to Jason Wilde chat with the Super Bowl legend, Brian Bulaga. Still, according to Wikipedia, the youngest starter ever in a Super Bowl. Though some people are giving me information like somebody was younger. But I don't see how. Must not have been a starter.
I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea.
All right, Jason.
But Jason, how are you doing this evening, Jason?
I'm great. I love the fact that Homer just views this as a chance to take a segment off. And also, I love the fact that he refers to you as a Super Bowl legend, which you're a lot of things and a lot of very positive things, including someone who's become outstanding on the radio. Legend.
13 years after he started, he is still the youngest starter ever in Super Bowl history. That, sir, is a legend, Super Bowl legend.
I think Joe Montana's more of a Super Bowl legend. Brian Bulaga is a future Packers Hall of Famer.
That's a lock.
Fantastic former player, but a legend. You can't throw that word around. You're a legend.
Yeah, you are the legend.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jason.
Super old.
Nice spin. What a great turn. That was very good. I got to give you credit. All right, you two go ahead.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to go in a little different route because obviously we all know this. It's kind of a dead period for the Packers, but there was some news that came out that they're going to, start their search for the new president or CEO of the Green Bay Packers, replacing Mark Murphy. So I guess, Jason, have you been kind of looking into this, who the candidates are, who's the front runner for this? Is it someone in-house? Are they going outside? Kind of what are you hearing on this?
Well, first of all, I expect you to get all the inside scoop because you, in April, have agreed to be on the tailgate tour crisscrossing the state, and you'll be on the bus with Mark Murphy. So I expect you to get inside information on this search. Look, I think they have an in-house candidate who not only should be the leading candidate but should get the job, and that is Ed Policy. His dad ran the 49ers. He's got ample experience as an executive. I don't think they should overcomplicate this, and I'm sure that they will look at other candidates, make sure they cover all their bases. But unless it's someone who just absolutely positively blows them away that they never saw coming, I think Ed Policy is deserving of being the kind of clear-cut favorite. Now, not only has he been working alongside Murphy for the longest time, but he was basically the point man on Titletown, which is a huge piece of the Packers' present and future. He's a really, really sharp guy, and I think he's a guy that just makes sense. But again, they're enlisting Jed Hughes and his headhunting firm, Korn Ferry. I'm sure they will come up with some other candidates. I'm sure the NFL probably has some qualifications that they would like to see some people of color, some women who would be interviewed. And if those people turn out to be better candidates than Ed Policy, then they deserve the job. But I just have a hard time picturing a scenario where Ed Policy is not the logical, clear-cut candidate. So someone would have to come out of, I don't want to say nowhere, but certainly not out of the front-running group or the in-house candidates and really impress them. So I think Ed Policy is the person that my expectation is will be the guy, but that is not guaranteed, that's for sure.
Yeah, because, people could say, and everyone else can say what they want about Mark Murphy's tenure as, the Packers CEO, president, whatever they call it. And obviously only one Super Bowl. That's what a lot of people say. But, you'd have to look at Mark Murphy's time as, running the show there. He's built Green Bay into a very, very, very high-octane money-making machine with Titletown, with the additions that they're doing, with probably how they're going to expand even more throughout Green Bay. You'd have to say he's done a pretty good job, or, do you look at it a different way?
No, he certainly has done a fantastic job. They are in an outstanding fiscal position. They do have Titletown. They do have the draft coming here. They did expand further the seating at the stadium that gave them 80,000 in seating capacity. Mark Murphy was 53 years old when the Packers hired him back in 2007, and Ed Policy will be 53 years old if he gets the job next. So it's with the mandatory retirement age of 70, you're kind of looking at that same length of time potentially for him to be president. I admit my bias. I believe Bob Harlan was far superior as a president. I think that what he did in getting a Hall of Fame general manager, who then in turn traded for a Hall of Fame quarterback, signed a Hall of Fame defensive end in free agency, and hired a Hall of Fame, because I do believe Mike Holmgren will eventually be in Canton, a Hall of Fame coach, after a team that had wandered in the wilderness for the better part of 3 decades, being mediocre to bad. I think what he did was more impressive. Plus, he got the stadium referendum passed. Like, they needed to get Brown County voters to vote in favor of taking on the cost of $290 million to turn the old corrugated green metal building that was Lambeau Field into the Taj Mahal it is today. So that's not Mark Murphy's fault. I would say the same thing about Ted Thompson versus Ron Wolf, or Mike McCarthy versus Mike Holmgren, or even, your former quarterback Aaron Rodgers versus Favre. Like, it's just different when you've been so bad for so long and having to start a winning tradition again, as opposed to what the Packers have largely done since that 90s group, which is sustain that excellence, which is still very hard to do. But, I just think that Mark Murphy fits the same category as Rodgers, McCarthy, Ted, that it's just different when the success has already begun.
Yeah, which absolutely makes sense. So on to the actual football side, obviously we've seen all the defensive staff changes, right? They're pretty much done, aren't they? Or is there any other?
Yeah, they got a couple of quality control guys I think they have to hire, but yeah, it's pretty much done.
Okay. Are we going to see, is there going to be any movement offensively? Or is that done? Is offense staying as is?
No, I think I know the biggest question for me and for others was whether or not Tom Clements was going to be back. He's going to be 71 years old. He is coming back. LaFleur told me that. So
why do you think he's coming back?
Because I think he really enjoyed coaching, and I think he, really enjoyed seeing the fruits of his coaching pay off with Jordan Love. I mean, look, Brian played during an era when he was on the staff. And, in fact, while he was offensive coordinator for a period, and on top of that, was actually the offensive play caller for a portion of one season. But look, he got Favre to go from, I think, 29 interceptions before he got here in 2005 down to, I think, 18 in 2006. And then what did he have, like 10 in 2007 when they went to the NFC Championship game? Like, he made a difference with Favre, who was an old dog at that point. But at the same time, he also was a vital consigliere to Rodgers during his developmental period. Then people forget Tom actually spent a couple of years in Arizona, and if you remember, Kyler Murray was playing his best football when he had Tom Clements as his quarterbacks coach. Yeah. And I don't think he's been all that star-spangled awesome since. And then obviously now with Jordan Love and what he did, I just think Tom has been so important to what Jordan Love was able to do. And I always joke about this. I even said it to Rodgers when we corresponded a while back. Like, dude, you did not bring Tom Clements on board as a favor to Jordan. You did it because you wanted Tom Clements on board, but it turned out to be a gigantic favor to Jordan Love. I mean, Rodgers would argue that he knew that it would be great for Jordan.
So what's he so good? Why is he so good?
I think he and Brian obviously knows more, a million times more than I do. But I think one of the best things he does, and he and McCarthy both oversaw the quarterback school that was really important to Rodgers' development. They don't do it as extensively now because the rules are different for the offseason program. But I think he is really good at teaching the fundamentals of the game. And I know Brian coaches flag football, peewee football, and I coach, girls basketball and softball and that kind of stuff. But I think both of us in our roles as dads believe in the importance of fundamentals over everything else. And I think what Tom Clements is outstanding at is teaching fundamentals that then can be parlayed into these quarterbacks actually improving in the most vital skills, accuracy, decision-making, all the things that make a good quarterback, and frankly, even arm strength. Like, I always use Matt Flynn as the example. Matt Flynn came in as a 7th-round pick in 2008, and I love Matt. He's a great dude. But he was a bit of I don't want to say noodle arm, but he certainly did not have an NFL caliber arm. He won a national title at LSU. If he had a stronger arm, he would have been picked earlier than the 7th round. But he spent an off season and a training camp with Clements, and I swear to you, watching him at the rookie camp after the draft and watching him beat out Brian Brohm, a 2nd-round pick, to back up Rodgers in 2008 was because his arm strength, because he improved his footwork, he improved his throwing motion, and that was all with Tom coaching him. And it just made such a vital difference in his ability, and he became more accurate. I mean, he ended up getting a big contract from Seattle. He didn't end up, obviously, being the starter there for very long. But I just think that that's what Tom excels at. And I think the things that I wondered about with Jordan Love were his decision-making, his arm strength, his accuracy, and all three of those things by mid-season, when you watch him from then on, you can see the impact of his learning from Clements impact all of those areas, and he was just so much better. Jordan deserves a ton of the credit. He's the one who put in the work. I'm not saying that he's a creation of Tom Clements. What I'm saying is Tom Clements gave him the tools, and he maximized them and became a guy that now we're not wondering if he's the guy anymore. We are very certain that he's the guy.
Absolutely. I guess, okay, so my last question, do we have any rumblings of when a Jordan Love extension will happen?
So I think that's interesting. We could probably, and you and I are going to spend some time together next week. I'm going to spend time with Homer tomorrow because Tausch has finally reached the point in his off season where he just needs time off and needs to be away from me, which I don't blame him. But
that's made up.
They can't sign him to an extension before May 3rd. The rule is 1 year after you sign an extension, you're then eligible for another one. So they did that half-measure deal last May 2nd instead of giving him the 5th-year option as the 2020 first-round pick. So that would be, the first date they could do it is May 4th. I don't think that's when it's going to happen. If we're doing over-under, I would probably put it sometime in mid-June, and then I would bet the over. This feels to me like something that you get done right before the start of training camp. I remember Kenny Clark got a deal done right before, like the day that they were starting practicing, and he went out to the field with his new contract. That's what my gut tells me, but it can happen anytime after May 3rd.
Got it.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, Doc. All right, Homer. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Homer. Take
Jason
care,
Will, the
Thanks,
All
Jason.
Packers all the time. To the Super Bowl legend. A short third quarter next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
On westbound 94, we have an accident with the two left lanes blocked. This is just west of Blue Mound Road. Backups all the way back past Moreland Road already, so it's a long slog through that area. Eastbound is backing up almost to Highway 16 to this point as well. And then you're on the brakes again from the Zoo interchange through the stadium to about 27th. The westbound side is heavy from about 20th Street all the way through to about Hawley Road. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, showers and storms early, partly cloudy and windy with a low of 46. Then tomorrow, windy with clouds to the north and sun to the south, a high of 54. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Go beyond your field of study and get a world-class education in leadership by joining the U.S. Army ROTC. Army ROTC programs transform students into confident leaders and provide a wide range of scholarships to help pursue life-defining careers. As an Army officer, you'll work side by side with peers who support your growth. Gain the experience and get the resources to open doors down the road. Army ROTC is open for enrollment. Visit goarmy.com/ROTC to learn more about available opportunities and scholarships, including at Marquette University.
True Chicago-style pizza is thin, crispy, and cut into squares. And thanks to Connie's Frozen Pizza, you can enjoy a true slice of the city. You'll enjoy it so much you won't even mind where it comes from. Connie's Frozen Pizzas are made from the same cornmeal crust Connie's has been serving for over 60 years. They're perfectly cheesy, perfectly saucy, and they're exactly what you crave. Get to know the true Chicago style with Connie's Frozen Pizza. Born in Chicago, loved by cheeseheads. Available in a freezer aisle near you.
An ESPN Radio Extra Point with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
You're hoping, if you're a 49ers fan, that Brock Purdy can be that missing key in terms of your team being able to take all of his talent and have it translate into a championship. And with the window starting to wane in terms of being able to keep this group together, I think the urgency and the pressure gets ratcheted up. And those haven't been the moments where we've seen Kyle Shanahan at his best, which is why we all have this concern. And so going into this game, everybody's thinking, well, how is Kyle Shanahan going to manage the game for Brock Purdy? And I look at it as the opposite. How is Brock Purdy going to save Kyle Shanahan from himself? I get what the narrative will be, and you're not wrong, Smalls. The narrative will be, if the 49ers win, that Kyle Shanahan made Brock Purdy. But it's in this instance where I think Brock Purdy is going to have to overcome his head coach as well as beating the Kansas City Chiefs.
Do you think he's capable of that?
Overcoming Shanahan?
I don't know. That's the scary. I don't know.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save on bulk purchases of select insulation from trusted brands like Green Fiber. Plus, save an extra 5% every day on eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's business credit card. Visit us for the materials you need, because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. 5% offer subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store at lowes.com/credit for details. U.S. only.
Tax day is coming.
Oh, no.
But if you sign up for Robinhood Gold's IRA with a 3% match, you can get up to $195 for the 2023 tax year.
Oh, yeah.
Sign up at Robinhood.com/boost by tax day to get the biggest contribution match on the market. Subscription fees apply.
Investing involves risk. 3% match requires gold for 1 year from first match. Must keep IRA for 5 years. Robinhood Financial, LLC, member SIPC.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
1, 2, 1.
Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service, but more. And I messed up. Should have been saying Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service for over 50 years. Yes, family-owned for 50 years. More than that now. That's why confusing insurance decisions aren't confusing for them. That's why they came up with level funded. That's why it seems as easy, even though it can't be, because it's so complicated for everybody else. Not after 50 years. Small enough to handle your needs with special attention, large enough to have the clout to make it happen. Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits, top-notch service, and doing it well for over 50 years. Phone number to remember, all you got to remember is 783. Saganiac Planning, 262-783. Roger Maris, 6161. With Super Bowl legend Brian Bulaga, now I got a problem, Doc.
Oh, boy.
Well, people have been sending information that there are approximately 12 players, or 11, that were younger than you and played in the Super Bowl. The youngest, of course, was Jamal Lewis, who ran for 100 yards, but while he did that, he was not listed as the starter. They list Priest Holmes as the starter because he was a vet, and so I think you're there. However, we now have, is it Keanu Neal, who played for Atlanta, and I think Shaq Thompson, who played for maybe Carolina. They're both defensive players. On their Wikipedia pages, they don't list either as starters for the Super Bowl, but under the Super Bowl, They're both listed as starters, and they were 21 years and 194 days and 21 years and 292. You were 21 years and 322.
Well, if they were starters, that means they got it.
Well, but if nobody has gone through the process, do I want to be known as the guy who goes to Wikipedia and says, well, Brian Bulaga really, it appears, doesn't deserve that unless I probably should wait till I get the official starters, right?
Yeah, I think you'd have to see who went out there in the first series.
Now, understandably, you're a bit of a fluke, and I haven't turned on you, but Jamal Lewis had 27 carries for 102 yards. Priest Holmes, 4 carries for 84 yards. By that time in the season, I believe Jamal Lewis had been the starter, but they quite possibly started Priest Holmes because he was the vet, right, over the rookie. That would be understandable.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you this much: if those two guys got it, they got it. I mean, there's nothing, and that's okay.
But should I pursue it or not?
I mean, it'd be super simple just to watch the first series of both those games and see if they were out there.
Very good.
Very easy. Yeah.
I mean, it's out there, right? And YouTube and everywhere. All right.
Yeah.
I would prefer that someone else do it, but someone.
I can assure you, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'll put it that way. I'm not going to do it.
I mean, I'm going to feel bad if I'm a part of eliminating you from the Wikipedia Super Bowl. I don't know if I can call you a Super Bowl legend if you're not the youngest ever after 13 years.
I mean, you would think that Wikipedia would have been updated by now if I wasn't.
Right. Somebody would. All they got to do is get it. I mean, I know this because they wouldn't even let me update my own Wikipedia page because I didn't have a reference to go to. And, it'd have to be, like you said, I'm not even sure you could use the tape. It'd have to be an article in the newspaper, or I'm sure they have the recap of the game, right? It lists.
I would imagine.
All your games. I don't know. Did you ever look at the stat sheets after a game? The big, thick, 20 pages?
I did, yeah. I'd look at it after the games.
And those always listed the starters, I'm sure.
Yeah. So you'd imagine that would have been updated if that was the case. Listen, there's definitely guys that have played in it that are younger, but were they starters? That's the only.
That's the issue that needs to be worked on. That was a very good conversation you had with Jason Wilde.
Thank you.
I don't. It's not like I like not doing anything, but I'm curious what you're going to ask, and you have a great deal of respect for Jason, and he always has good answers. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, to me, we're obviously in a slow period. All the defensive changes have been made, but at the end of the day, the news that is what it is with the Green Bay Packers is the president's search, right? And that's kind of a big deal with the organization, is who is the lead guy and who's, the way the Packers are structured now and the way Mark Murphy has his hands in a lot of football, decisions when the power structure got realigned and who answers to who and things like that, when it never was that way. Who comes in next? It's a big deal, right? Like it's a big deal. And the way he views the way the Green Bay Packers should be on the field as well. So it's a big decision.
People, I would make the observation, I think people are pretty more critical than I would think appropriate for Murphy, but I hate spending time on that because it doesn't have any effect on me. I think the best way to describe Mark Murphy is he entered an organization that had been successful, and he maintained. What Mark Murphy did is he maintained the excellence of the football team, and the other stuff, the draft and other things and all that, that's nice.
Yep.
But fundamentally, as president, your job is to win football games and in Green Bay win championships, and he maintained that level of excellence. Didn't get better, but it certainly didn't get worse. And for that, he deserves credit. He really didn't change much. He believed in the group of people that were there, and they all maintained until Ted Thompson got ill or whatever you want to say, and probably may have stayed with him too long. But it's impossible to say worse than he maintained.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I think we could say that he did put them probably in a better place fiscally than they were when he got in.
Yes.
I think that's something that you could look at, especially the way Titletown and all that's getting built up and the revenue streams that they can get now besides just, the regular money that they get from the NFL. I mean, he's built that into a real, money-making machine out there. I mean, there's something for people to do at all times of the year, and it's a really nice setup. So to that, I give him credit. But I agree with you that, he maintained a level. But with the other things, I think he's done a good job.
Which is no guarantee. The best-kept secret that isn't mentioned, the 49ers, we'll discuss it after this fun, have not maintained their level of excellence since Bill Walsh and George Seifert. They have failed, and that's been a long time, to maintain that excellence, and that's next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN. Football Guy.
What the hell happened to Bucky on your hat?
Football Guy.
A lot of wear and tear for old B.
Coming at it from different views.
I'm just saying he's well worn. I mean, his face is missing.
Okay, well, it's probably time for me to freshen that up. Bucky wants to flip you off right now.
Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Also sponsored by Coors Light. Weekdays 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN. And available wherever you get your podcasts with Wisconsin On Demand.
You've heard real James Imaging Systems customers here on the radio for years talking about their trusted document imaging partnership with James Imaging Systems. Brookfield Buick GMC controller Jay Doyle.
I do love working with James Imaging. They do a great job. They're like it's one of your workers. They want to help.
Gabe Colasari, IT manager at RJ Schinner, described his document imaging partnership with James Imaging Systems this way.
They're the imaging professionals. That's something that we don't have to worry about. So we want that trusted partnership.
And James Imaging Systems customer Jason Rose, President CEO with AccuRite Tax and Financial Services, summed up his trusted document imaging partnership with James.
Happy clients, happy workers, happy me.
Be happy. Start your trusted document imaging partnership with James Imaging Systems today. It's easy to do. Call 262-781-7700. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Injuries happen, but you don't have to play in pain or stay on the sidelines. Whether it's your kids dealing with a sports injury, college athletes, or the rest of us weekend warriors, the experts at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin will quickly diagnose your problem, lay out a treatment plan that works for you, and get you back in the game. They fixed my knee. My mother-in-law is back on the dance floor with a new hip. These are the experts you can trust. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
Bucks fans, join us for our 414 All Nights, a celebration of our diverse fan base where we showcase fan stories and highlight their unique and impactful contributions to our community. Come for the amazing Bucks basketball action. Stay for the recognition of our amazing fan base at our 414 All Nights, where diversity is embraced and every fan is celebrated. Go to bucks.com/impact for dates and details.
Cousins Subs is stepping up their game this Lenten season with a decadent delight featuring lobster. You heard that right, lobster. This new limited time only lobster salad sub features lobster mixed with Cousins' signature mayo over a bed of lettuce and topped with onions, tomato, and Old Bay seasoning on their famous Italian bread, baked fresh daily. Order the new lobster salad sub at any Cousins location, online or via their mobile app. Cousins Subs, we believe in better.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service.
It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey.
Riding with you every mile since 1977.
The Boucher Group has exciting news to share with you.
We've expanded to better serve our community.
Introducing Nissan Lake Country, the newest addition to our family.
Step into our showroom and discover our exceptional selection of brand new Nissans.
We're also stocked with the best pre-owned options in the market.
And as we expand, we're not just growing our inventory, we're also growing our team.
So join a team that values your skills and celebrates your success.
Visit us online or in-store today and view our current job listings at bouchercareers.com.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
I tell everybody Fisco Auto Body, so you like them and you like me. Yes, they help my reputation. Here's how it works. Fisco Auto Body in Forest Home in Franklin. On Forest Home in Franklin, family business owned since 1931. It's not what they do, it's who they are. So by the time they're doing it, whatever they're doing for you, auto body work, they've been doing it so long, it's easy. They won't tell you it's easy, but the quality of their work tells you it's easy. So I tell everybody about Fisco Auto Body. Those who listen to me go there and go, man, these people are great. And I'm the one who told them. They thank me, and they think better of me. I admit it. Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home in Franklin. Fisco, to remember the name. Brian Bulaga with the Homer Hour. And I don't know that this has been mentioned enough because you brought it up with Mark Murphy in terms of it. I said maintaining. The people don't realize the 49ers have not won a championship in almost 30 years.
Yeah.
After they won 5 in 13 years with Bill Walsh and George Seifert. Their last championship is 1995. Yes, in the Super Bowl with Harbaugh in 13, in Shanahan 2020. Now again, that doesn't matter, right? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Your thought?
It doesn't matter, yeah.
You got to win.
Yeah. I mean, you can get to as many as you want, but when you don't win, you don't win. You're just a participant, man. You're just looked at as the first loser. And that's the way it goes. Like listen, I'm not saying it's easy, right? It's not easy. I'm not saying it is, but like the 49ers have had a lot of talented teams.
Yes.
A lot of really good teams. And for them to not have won one, like you said, in 30 whatever years.
I mean, think of the teams that have, like Tampa Bay, or you just pick different teams that have won one. That's fine. That's enough.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, one, like you said, one gets you into the club, but when you're a team like the 49ers that have won so many in such a short stretch of time, it is a little bit of a dark cloud over you that you haven't won another one.
And there's no doubt, given, if you're old enough to know that, the pressure's on the 49ers. Otherwise, it goes another year without winning the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And you can always say it because, sir, you're in the club.
Yep. Who are you taking this weekend? Who do you got?
I just Kansas City. I mean, I just will be really surprised. San Francisco could have lost their 2 games. Kansas City's playing well. It will change the history of Purdy if he can pull this off.
Yep.
He becomes elite immediately. All right, the legend of the Super Bowl is being voted. Discount Liquor Twitter poll question. I don't know what's next, but they don't have any Super Bowl legend. Next.